In the mid-17th century, a new military power emerged in the Deccan Plateau, squeezed on all sides by absolute giants. To the north sat the massive Mughal Empire. To the south, the established Bijapur Sultanate. And along the coast, heavily armed European maritime powers. Their homeland was the Sahyadri mountain range. This is a punishing landscape of flat-topped rocky plateaus and steep, heavily forested cliffs. That harsh terrain cultivated a highly resilient population, providing the exact foundation needed for a grassroots army of local peasants and warriors. Leading this force was a young commander named Shivaji Bhonsle. Shivaji understood a basic mathematical reality. If he marched his farmers into an open field against massive, heavily armored imperial armies, he would be crushed. So he refused to fight on their term. In 1659, the Sultan of Bijapur sent his most intimidating general, a 7-foot-tall warrior named Afzal Khan, to eliminate Shivaji under the guise of peace negotiations. The two men met in a tent to embrace. Shivaji bypassed the general's overwhelming size and heavy armor entirely. He had concealed a small curved dagger and a set of steel tiger claws, known as Bagh Nak, inside his hand. During the embrace, Shivaji struck, assassinating the general. The outcome of this encounter validated the core of Maratha military thought, that survival against empires depended on shock, surprise, and deception, rather than matching an opponent's brute force. On land, they applied this doctrine by remaining constantly mobile. While the Mughals moved slowly, weighed down by heavy cavalry and massive supply chains, the Marathas deployed ultra-fast, lightly armed cavalry. They executed hit-and-run guerrilla strikes that exhausted their larger opponents. To lock down their territory, the Marathas captured and fortified a vast network of 240 high-altitude strongholds across the Sahyadri range. The coastal frontier presented a completely different threat. Heavily armed European navies patrolled the western seaboard. Shivaji recognized that attempting to build massive deep-water galleons to fight the Europeans in the open ocean would result in a strategic disaster. Instead, he developed the Jaladurg doctrine. The Marathas constructed massive stone sea forts directly onto rocky islands and coastal peninsulas. These forts acted as static artillery bases, protecting docked merchant ships and keeping European cannons at a safe distance. In the water, they relied on tactical ship design. While European vessels required deep water and heavy winds, the Marathas built fleets of galbats, fast, highly maneuverable rowboats. In the shallow estuaries, when the wind died down, these galbats could outmaneuver a stranded galleon or tow their own heavier gunboats into firing position. These innovations forced a shift in the regional balance of power. The East India Company eventually moved its primary trade base to Bombay, specifically to avoid Maratha interference. While on the coast, Maratha forces successfully evicted the Portuguese from strategic ports like Salsette and Bassein. Fighting a multi-front war requires immense resources. The Marathas faced a serious logistical problem. How do you manage and fund a rapidly expanding military network when you don't possess the deep, centralized treasury of a legacy empire? Their solution was the Saranjami system. Rather than collecting all taxes into a central vault and paying commanders from the capital, the state issued temporary revenue grants. Military leaders were assigned specific territories and drew income directly from them to maintain their own troops. To prevent these commanders from carving out permanent fiefdoms, the state implemented a strict safeguard. These military land grants were tied entirely to active service. They were not heritable, meaning a commander could not pass the territory down to his children. This decentralized approach extended all the way to the top of the government. The Chhatrapati, or emperor, did not rule as an absolute, unilateral dictator. He operated more like a modern chief executive, governing alongside the Ashtapradhan, a council of 8 ministers. Each minister managed a specific crucial portfolio, such as finance, foreign affairs, or military intelligence. Battlefield tactics alone do not build empires. The Marathas scaled their territory rapidly by engineering a highly efficient administrative machine that delegated operational power to those on the ground. This succession chart highlights a critical vulnerability. After Shivaji died, rapid succession crises fractured the empire. In 1707, the Mughals released his grandson Shahu from captivity, intentionally triggering a civil war against Shahu's aunt, Tarabai. This permanently split the empire into 2 dynastic lines. During this internal chaos, the Saranjami system became a fatal trap. Regional commanders controlled their own military funding and troops through their land grants, quickly realizing they held all the real political leverage. Instead of remaining loyal to a single, unified leader, these powerful local commanders actively shopped their military allegiance around to the highest bidder. They constantly switched sides between Shahu, Tarabai, and the Mughals, leveraging the conflict to secure better financial terms. The political fallout was permanent. With the Treaty of Sangola in 1750, the Chhatrapati was reduced to a purely ceremonial figurehead. Absolute authority had officially shifted away from the royal family and into the hands of their prime minister, the Peshwa. The Marathas successfully built a continent-spanning empire by designing a decentralized, highly agile military state. Yet, that exact same decentralization ultimately cost the founding dynasty